By the way, Olsen signed with Seattle.
I saw that. That's a nice addition. He said he wanted to play with Russell Wilson. He interviewed with a couple other clubs, but
he interviewed with one other team.
Yeah.
I think Washington. That was it.
Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist and Hank Goldberg. We're already discussing a little bit of football. It's not football season in the NFL, but it's always interesting and there's always something going on. Good morning, Hank.
Well, it's going to be a big week next week because on the 25th is when they have the tryouts. You know, the annual big workouts for the college players where they all get together. So that'll be big.
Drew Brees decided to come back. He's going to play again. Bridgewater is going to go somewhere. Where do you have any idea where he might end up?
Well, a lot of teams will be interested in him. I guess did they say they're not going to keep him?
No, he did say he was leaving. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of teams will be interested in Bridgewater. You know, I would think that the Dolphins would have an interest in him because he went to high school there, and I know the Dolphins have a high draft pick, but they could. And I know they've got the veteran quarterback already there. But Detroit could have an interest in him right now because Detroit's looking to unload their quarterback. He could go to Sandy or to L.A. to the Chargers, a possibility. He's going to be in demand. He went 5-0 as a starter there.
He did. Now, got the 30-30 guy down in Tampa with Bruce Arians, who's probably the oldest head coach in the league, but he's really a good coach. But he's got this quarterback that's just more turnover prone. What do you have, 33 touchdowns or 30 touchdowns, 33 interceptions? What do you?
He had more interceptions than that. He had like 50 interceptions.
What do you do with a guy like that?
Well, he had 50 touchdowns rather and 30 some odd interceptions, but whatever. He's a guy who has enormous ability in terms of throwing the deep ball and getting touchdowns. And Arians thought that he could work with him and correct the mistakes, but it hasn't happened. But he may want to keep him around for another year. So I'm not sure where that's pretty much up in the air.
Yeah, the whole quarterback scenario is almost like musical chairs. Where are they all going to land with all the movement in the NFL and then the draft picks? Because there's quite a few quarterbacks that are going to take in reasonably high in the draft order, and of course, will Burrow end up with Bengals or somewhere else?
Burrow is ending up with the Bengals. That's where he's going. There's a prop bet at William Hill where you can take Tua against the Oregon quarterback
Hebert.
What's that?
What's his name? Hebert or Hebert?
Herbert, yeah.
Herbert, yeah. Okay. Wow. Well,
who goes first?
Who's on first? Baseball, that's coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to start seeing these guys come to spring training and stuff, and the Yankees.
So the big story right now in baseball is how the commissioner has really messed up in the way he has handled the cheating situation. There are a lot of people the players are very upset because they think he should have taken away the series trophy and the commissioner referred to it as a
piece of metal.
Piece of metal. And there are a lot of people who are demanding that the commissioner get out because they think he should have taken more severe steps, taken away the championship. Some think that he should bar Houston from postseason this year. And I don't know if I'm for that, but he's on the hot seat right now. He's kind of made a mess of this whole situation in the way that he's handled it, and the players are coming out and speaking up against him.
Yeah, you get in the age of social media, everybody has a voice, and I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is.
This is not social media. This is the networks who cover the sport, and players who are going on the record. This isn't social media. This is players going on the record and talking to the networks who cover the sport. ESPN and Fox, who are on every day reporting on the sport. And they're giving the interviews to the people who cover the sport for the newspapers and the television networks. Players who are respected. Top guys with the Dodgers. The Dodgers star player came out and said that the commissioner has mishandled this. They should take how he disrespected the World Series trophy, and then how he should have taken the trophy away.
Yeah, I agree. He has not done a good job. How do you think you would have handled it if you were in that position?
I think if it was the basketball commissioner, they would no longer be the world's. They would be no longer even an asterisk. I think the championship would have been taken away.
Well, it's. I don't know if it's over or not, or if he'll reverse course and do that. I'm not sure this is over. It's definitely
whatever way he goes now, he's messed it up.
Yes, he has.
And he's and people. I know we talked about this last week. The players aren't happy with some of the rule changes. That's controversial, although you and I disagree on it. I like the three hit rule, 3-batter rule, but the Players Association isn't protesting it. But he's probably right now the worst of the major commissioners, and he's. I mean, I thought Roger Goodell had that wrapped up. He makes Roger Goodell look like a saint.
That's a good one, Hank. As far as the baseball rules, I don't agree or disagree. I don't like it initially, but I want to see it work out and see how it works. But you follow it a little bit more than I do, and I respect your opinion. So I'm going to go along with your opinion, but I'll watch it, see what happens. Do it for a year and see how people feel about it. Everything changes, so you got to make changes, and they want to shorten the game. I don't know. Maybe they play too many games. Maybe 162 is too many. Maybe.
Look at the week that this commissioner has compared with the commissioner with Adam Silver, who put in that change in the All-Star game. The All-Star ratings went up 8% this year, but the All-Star game in basketball was a huge winner. And everything that Adam Silver does, he took a position. When they took the position they did against the Clippers owner, and he stood up to the ownership there and threw him out.
He did,
and that was and remember, the commissioner is hired by the owners. And here's a commissioner who stood up to an owner and tossed him, and the other owners supported him. That's the difference between a good commissioner and the dope they have in baseball.
Adam Silver's been a forward-thinking guy. He came out for legalized sports betting, and he helped push that through. And he is definitely a forward-thinking commissioner, where guys like Goodell and Manfred have not been.
Well, except for the fact that the NFL owners are making record amounts of money right now, and the television deals are record amounts. And if a commissioner is going to be judged by how much money he makes for his bosses,
he wins.
Then you would have to say Goodell has been successful.
I agree with that. That's true. That is the most successful sport we have in this country for sure. I mean, even when the football season is over, everybody misses it. It's like they can't get enough. College basketball. It's on us. We got games, and we got Butler.
Well, last night was great. By the way, your Illinois team broke its 5-game losing streak and beat Penn State. Penn State couldn't hit a shot last night. I watched that game, and they wound up losing. They almost came back and won the game at the end, but they fell. They were behind for almost the entire game because they were getting to the basket and they couldn't make layups. They just had a real bad night. A typical Big Ten, another Big Ten team that can't win when they're supposed to. And this was rare. This was a home team that didn't win. Some people, the wise guys, were taking Arkansas against Florida. Florida crushed them. And then there was the Dayton. I've been touting Dayton. I told you that Dayton could probably beat any Big Ten team. Last night they beat VCU easily. Right now, Dayton is a top 5 team, and they're playing very well. They're going to be tough.
You're right.
By the way, Portland State on Monday did win.
Yeah, they did,
and won by 30. They only won by 30. And Kentucky LSU was a heck of a game, and Kentucky destroyed LSU. Kentucky beat them in every respect. Beat them on the boards. Beat them running up and down the floor. Beat them defensively, and they could score from anywhere. Kentucky right now, you can get Kentucky at a big price, and they're playing very well.
What price have
and Baylor? And Baylor, that was a look-ahead game for Baylor because they got Kansas on Saturday. All the guys on the handicappers were picking Oklahoma because they said it was a look-ahead for Baylor. Baylor didn't even sweat it.
What kind of price do you see on Kentucky?
I'll tell you in a second.
They do look like a team that could go all the way.
They're 20-1.
That's still a
25 to 1.
That's a damn good price for a team that likely should be in the Final Four. How about, Hank, what do you think about Creighton? I mean, they've beaten a lot of good teams on the road.
Yeah. They had a big game against Marquette last night. Marquette almost came back against them, but Creighton held on. Creighton's good, and they can go far. Well coached. They've got all the elements that's required, and they've been a good team for a couple of years now.
Well, they got a good.
I like Creighton. I'll tell you a team.
They got a good coach
too. I'll tell you another team that is very strong right now, and that's one of the smaller conference teams out west is
not San Diego State. They're undefeated.
No, San Diego State is not a small team. And by the way, they continue to beat everybody. No, they're really good. Who the heck is it that I'm thinking of? They're playing tonight, in fact. This is a team that, this is a team that's on top of one of the conferences out west, Northern Iowa.
Oh,
Northern Iowa is really good. They're playing Indiana State tomorrow. They're leading the Missouri Valley Conference right now. That's one of those teams they're gonna win the Missouri Valley, which gets them a ticket into the postseason, and they're gonna win a couple of games. They've got good players, and they got one guy who's a guy named Austin Fife. He shoots 67%.
Yeah, they ain't bad. They ain't bad at all.
That's a team nobody pays any attention to, but that's a team that's going to go in and they could beat any Big Ten team right now, any one of them.
Yeah, they're very well coached. They're disciplined. They do a lot of things right. And if you run into a team even that's more talented than them, and they don't have a real good night, this team that's a sleeper team. What do you think about Auburn and down south?
They got beat this week. So they. I'll tell you what bothers me a little bit about Auburn. They don't come out of the gate very fast. They win a lot of games coming from off the pace. They're playing Georgia tonight, and they shouldn't have too much of a problem with Georgia. But they've got shooters, and once they get rolling in a game, they're very good defensively. But they must drive Bruce Pearl nuts because every game they're coming they're like a closer in horse racing coming from way back.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. But, this is going to be like we've been saying for weeks, this is going to be a great tournament season because there's so many teams that can jump up and do some damage. And we haven't even talked about it today, but Louisville, who has been in and out and very inconsistent, they're 21-5 on the season, ranked 11th. If they get any of these teams that get hot for 4 games can go a long way.
I don't like Louisville at all. I just don't think that they find ways to lose against the better teams right now. They're terrible on the road.
Yeah, well, that can make a big difference for sure. Any specific games? Well, Butler Seton Hall tonight. That's a 3:30 game. That's the earliest game.
I'm not laying off Seton Hall right now. They're in a bad shooting slump. Rutgers is playing Michigan. That's a good game. Rutgers it's a tough team. Louisville is playing Syracuse. Syracuse is on the road. They're a different team on the road than they are at home. Auburn's, I said, Georgia's got Georgia. There's
Duke plays.
Duke is playing North Carolina State. Duke woke up the other night. Virginia-Boston College is a good game. Boston College is playing very well right now. They're good defensively. Virginia's not very good right now. And I know it's a road game for Boston College, but I like them, and I like them in a low-scoring game. That's their kind of game. Providence is playing pretty well. They got Georgetown. Texas Tech has Kansas State. I'll tell you a team to look out for right now is Miami. They're playing at Virginia Tech, but Miami is playing pretty good ball the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And South Carolina is another team that's playing well. Coach Frank he's temperamental and all that, but he's a heck of a coach, and they're playing Mississippi State at Mississippi State, but South Carolina is improved a lot. A lot of good games today.
Hank, we don't talk much about the teams in the out west. The Washington State, UCLA, USC.
Yeah, that's because they're not very good.
Do you see any of them? I mean, you got the two Arizona teams in there. Do you see any of them popping up and doing some damage or not? Is it just a...
Well, you left out the best one, I think, is Oregon.
Right. They went pretty far last year, actually. Yeah.
Oregon and Utah's a disappointment. They've kind of faded. Southern Cal is playing okay right now. UCLA is bad. They were supposed to catch on defensively. They can't. They have no offense whatsoever. They're just very erratic. They go into these horrible shooting slumps. They're just nobody who's really standing out. Cal has been a pretty good investment point wise, but there is no team from the West. I don't think too many teams from the Pac-12 are going to make it into the tournament.
Well, no, with their record, they certainly shouldn't, unless it's politics. But you really don't see anything coming out of there. But I mean, you're probably right. The best team,
Arizona, may be the best team, but they keep finding ways to give up leads they can't close.
Well, anything before we run out of time? Anything you want to talk about in horse racing?
Well, there were some good races at Oaklawn on Monday, and the Steve Asmussen had a winner who looked pretty good, and winning Silver State is the name of the horse, and that horse, Monomoy, won the two divisions of those races, the Southwest Stakes. Silver State was impressive. Asmussen had three horses in the one division, and the Silver State won. So they'll move on. Baffert has a horse who won on Saturday called Charlatan, who almost broke a track record. Another 3-year-old. He has questions about how far he can run, and he's going to get him out of California and send him to Oaklawn, I think, because he's up against too much of Baffert's other horses out west. That's what's going on there. I think there's another stakes race this weekend. Oh, yeah, the Fountain of Youth. And not much of a field there. The best Florida horses waiting till the Florida Derby.
I don't know if you want to touch on it or not, but the XFL has 4 more games this weekend. This will be week number 3. Anything that you want to discuss about that league?
Well, they'll have 4 games every week for 12 weeks. They don't take weeks off. No. I tell you, St. Louis has a quarterback who everybody's talking about. And he had a heck of a game last week. They played pretty well, and they're talking about this guy being a good opportunity for him to return to the NFL, which is what that league's all about. It's a training ground for NFL prospects.
Well, it's good. That's good. It gives these guys a chance to prove themselves and move up and make a name for themselves. It's a great idea.
There was one stat that came out this week that the followers of the promoters of the NXL pointed out, and that is that the return game on kicks is about substantially higher than the NFL. There could be a couple of reasons for that. That is that the teams defending the kicks aren't so good.
Yeah, that's possible. Speaking of the St. Louis Pinnacle, they opened up 7.5 and they're 10 now. So that's a pretty big move. That's that team you're talking about with the quarterback. So that's the largest move of the week so far. So somebody got on top of that.
Oh, there's not a lot of money coming in. One good bet could change the number.
Yeah, $1,000 is about all anybody's taking. Anyway, Hank, thank you much. Good information, good podcast. We'll talk to you again on Friday.
Okay, have a good week.
You
Rest
too.
of it.
Okay, you too.